Good evening. For the benefit of the record, this regular meeting of the Orange County Board of Education is called to order. Drew, will you please call roll?
Trustee Valdez?
Here.
Trustee Sparks?
Here.
Trustee Shaw?
Here.
Trustee Williams?
I am present.
Trustee Barkey?
Here.
The agenda, the regular meeting of November 1st, 2023.
So moved.
Do I have okay, moved by Trustee Barkey,
Second.
second by Dr. Sparks to adopt the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. We will go to the approval of the minutes, special meeting of September 20th, 2023, and the regular meeting of October 4th.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. Are there any public comments related to closed session?
No, we don't have any.
Very good. The board will convene to a closed session, items 1 through 3, and we'll plan on returning at 5 p.m. Thank you. Okay, we will reconvene from closed session. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We will begin with an invocation, followed by a pledge of allegiance. And I've already forgotten who's doing what. Invocation. Lori.
All right, well, let's go ahead and bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for our life. We thank you for so many blessings you have bestowed upon us. We thank you for the opportunity to share love with others. We just pray for this board to be able to make wise decisions, have discernment in everything that comes their way, that they would have a light upon it so that they would know right decisions. We thank you for the people who have come to speak and to listen to these important decisions that these trustees make for the children in this county. And we just pray for wisdom for all. And we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. And Linda, for our pledge.
Please stand. Hand over heart and pledge to the greatest flag of the greatest country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. Do we have public comments this evening?
We do. I will call first name and the second person on deck. First, we have Rudy Krause, and on deck, Nancy Watkins. Rudy?
Hi. I spoke at Newport Mesa the other day, and I was talking about the trifecta power pyramid and the deconstruction of the United States. The black racist agenda, the homosexual agenda, the 76% enablers. Now, the board press, she went off like a chicken head. Oh, you're a racist. I'm not a racist. She's implementing a reverse racist plan, orchestrated from the top down, World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, to eliminate the white people first in his depopulation agenda. It's in his book, COVID-19, The Great Reset. He outlines it there. The vaccine was even race specific. You know how they did that? To target white people? I saw the congressional hearings on it with Jim Jordan and the four top scientists in the world and the Chinese. What they did was they used the 14-week-old aborted fetal stem cells of a white male fetus and put those stem cells in the vaccine and shot it into everybody so that it would bond more easily to the white DNA. Now, some things that you don't know about me. I run Cali CSI, crime scene investigation. I specialize in crimes of the mind. These are the greatest crimes ever committed in the world. I've been running it since 1990. Everything's a crime. These are crimes of the mind. You guys are the enablers of the crimes of the mind. The trans agenda, the racist agenda. This is all the Obama core education agenda. Obama's on top. He's running the O'Biden administration with Susan Rice and then Valerie Jarrett. And then there's some other names I could name. I run a global intelligence network. These are the smartest people in the world. I only listen to them. I don't listen to mainstream media. They sound like chicken heads, just like that lady at the Board of Education. She got low IQ. Worse than that, she got slow IQ. There's high IQ, low IQ, no IQ, and slow IQ. This is where it takes you, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years to comprehend simple wisdom, simple logic. You didn't listen to your grandparents. They put it all together real well. Like sound in mind, sound in body. So, Dr. Thorpe, he's the top expert in the world. He says by 2027, and this is studying excess death mortality. 78 million going to be dead. But here I'm coming here to talk to you about the graphene oxide that's in the vaccine and the nanotechnology. 95% of the vaccine is graphene oxide.
Your time has
Sir. Your
expired.
time is up. Thank you.
Thank you. It was nice,
Nancy is up next, followed by Lynn Riddle.
it was nice to see you guys again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. There are continued concerns for me about the lack of transparency from the Orange County Board of Education. First, I noticed that the OCBE has dropped its lawsuit against the Orange County Committee on School District Organization about new district maps. I'm glad that the lawsuit was dropped, but I note that this is only after wasting approximately $100,000 on the filing and the legal fees. What a waste of money. Second, in October, the board passed a resolution to establish fair and equitable facilities, a not-so-subtle attempt to release department reserves for use by county-approved charter schools with the intent to usurp local control and money from school districts in Orange County. The resolution focused on specific issues charter schools face to expand facilities for the county-approved charter schools. This month, the board is establishing a committee to review school facilities. This raises the following questions. What protocol will the subcommittee use to review school facilities? For what purpose? Will the subcommittee work with the established department division? Is the subcommittee work an attempt to identify co-locations in public schools to expand publicly funded charter schools without local district approval? Is this an attempt to redirect and spend funding reserves held by the Orange County Department of Education to benefit charter schools? Why did the resolution overemphasize charter schools over county schools? What actual benefits will this subcommittee bring to access students who are currently under the Orange County Board's jurisdiction? What I believe will happen with this subcommittee is a blatant attempt to encroach on local school districts through co-location. Co-locations are the placement of charter schools within facilities owned by local school districts, and these actions can defund local school districts in favor of charter organizations. Co-location can have a detrimental impact on public schools who are already struggling with limited resources, particularly if co-location is forced without the local district approval. Fiscal responsibility, proper oversight are critical for ensuring quality charter schools are successful. Forcing policies and partnerships to further your personal agendas for members of this board is a disservice to the community you were elected to serve.
Thank you. Lynn Riddle. Go ahead.
Good evening. It just occurred to me that I have not offered an invocation at any of these meetings, and I will this evening. It's really my own invocation. It seems to me it's an uplifting message that I bring because it's an inspiration and it's in gratitude. I noticed that Nina Boyd is not sitting at the dais this evening, and I expect that means that she's very committed to her announcement that she's going to retire. But I want to celebrate and let everyone know that from the 5.5 to 6 years that I have been coming to these meetings, I have been overwhelmed and lifted by her at every turn. I made a list of the things that I thought were most important to me. Dignity. I rarely see, Nina, people with more dignity than you show and that you share. Brilliance goes along with the dignity. I've never seen a quicker mind, and one that is more compelling. Your reasoning is clear. You address things clearly. It's always helpful. You're calm. You're patient. You're a very effective listener, and I've heard you then reach the core of the idea and reflect it back. Your institutional memory is just astounding, and I think this board will miss that. It's so important that when we have changes in all of our institutions, we still have and treasure institutional memory. You're composed, brilliant, dignified. I thank you for that because in my own view, you have been a model to me. and I will keep that in my life and keep you in my life forever. And I hope that others will feel the same and congratulate you. I can't speak for the entire County of Orange. I wish I could. But for all the people that I know that come here and have seen you, I think I speak for them. Thank you, Nina Boyd.
Thank you.
That it?
That was all.
Oh, okay. Terrific. Thank you for those comments. And Lynn stole the thunder here, but yeah, we're it's looking a little different over here. Nina is indeed in the audience, looking good out there, and we welcome Renee. And we're going to make sure to ask you very difficult questions throughout the evening. So I'm just
I'm kind of used to that.
nothing new, right? Okay. Well, welcome up here. Thank you. We will proceed to the consent calendar. So it's items 1 through 3.
Second?
Okay. Moved by Trustee Barkey, seconded by Dr. Sparks. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 4, charter school submissions. Are there any charter submissions?
We have none, but at this point, I just wanted to clarify, did you have a report out you wanted to give now or later?
I thought we would do that at the end of the meeting, right?
That's fine. Just want to remind you.
Thank you. Don't let me forget.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for that. So no charter submissions. So we'll proceed to item number 5, board recommendations. Establish an Orange County Board of Education subcommittee addressing public school facilities. So thank you. Moved by Dr. Williams.
I second.
Second by Trustee Valdez. Would you like to make any comments, or we'll just appoint you guys and away we go? Oh, that's the next item. Okay. Oh, this is establishing the committee. Thank you. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. So number 6, selection of members to Orange County Board of Education Subcommittee addressing public school facilities. So
I'd like to make the motion for this item. It'll need a second, and then we'll have nominations for the
I'll make a
committee.
second.
Very good. Okay, so moved by Dr. Williams, second by Trustee Barkey.
I'd like to nominate George Valdez as one of the committee members.
Do we need a second or we just vote?
No, it's just nomination, so you have a list of people who you nominate.
Are there any other
I'll go ahead and
nominations?
nominate Ken Williams to be on that committee.
Are there any other nominations?
Can you close it?
Seeing none, I make a motion to close the nominations and cast a unanimous ballot.
I second your motion.
Okay. So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Is it okay to vote for myself?
Yes.
Aye.
All right. Congratulations, guys. Make us proud, and look forward to hearing what you come up with. We will proceed then to, let's see. You know what? I didn't get my red line copy out. It's a little easier if I have this one. All right. So we'll go into information items. Let's see. Item number 1, salary increases over $10,000 in accordance with Education Code 1302 and Board Policy 100-10. Is there a staff report?
There is Dave. So Dave Giordano, our Associate Superintendent of Administrative Services, will give that report.
Thank you.
Required under Education Code Section 1302 and Board Policy 100-10. The department's required to report information on all employees who receive a salary increase of more than $10,000 in a 12-month period. And as reflected in Exhibit A of the board agenda, there are a total of 30 employees that are identified that are scheduled to receive a compensation increase in excess of the $10,000. And there are 2 key reasons for the increase in compensation above $10,000. First, 12 of the employees listed in the attached exhibit received a promotion. And then second, all the employees that are listed in the exhibit received an increase in salary related to settlement of negotiations. And as the board is aware, and we're happy to report, The department has settled negotiations with our bargaining groups for the current fiscal year. All of our classified school employees members received an ongoing increase in salary of 3% and then a one-time off-schedule increase of 2%. Additionally, the department will cover 100% of the increase in premium costs for health and welfare benefits for the 23-24 plan year. And that began on October 1st of the current year and runs through September 30th. And then all of our confidential management and supervisory staff will follow that same CSEA salary settlement. And then all of our Orange County School Education Association members will receive a slightly higher ongoing salary increase of 3.25% and a one-time off-schedule increase of 2%. However, to ensure equity between the bargaining groups, the department will cover 50% of the increase in premium costs for the health and welfare benefits for the 23-24 plan year for our teachers. And so with that, I'd like to open up to any questions.
Thank you. Are there questions from the board?
I do have questions.
Okay, Dr. Williams?
So let's look under page 27, the first deputy superintendent. This is who's getting the $16,315?
Yeah, we had removed the names, and I don't know if Mrs. Hendrick, you want to give it additional?
So originally, we submitted the list with names, and meeting with the executive committee, they suggested we didn't have names attached to them, that just the titles. And so we can get you that information. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure. So I think there's 3 listed there.
Yeah, I didn't bring the list with the names as well.
Okay, so the second deputy superintendent, that was $27,566. And the other deputy superintendent, that's $13,772. Is that correct?
Right. So I would assume the higher one is probably mine, honestly, because of the promotion and the ongoing salary increase.
Correct.
Is Dr. Maharis' salary on this?
No, it's not, because when the board took action, they did not include a COLA in that agreement. So you would have to take action to give him COLA.
He did get his stipend for his automobile, though, right?
He did, but prior we get the same cost of living increase as any employee, and that was not put in his current agreement. So he did not get this increase.
So he did not get an increase, but he got the stipend, correct?
And a lower salary.
And a lower salary. But didn't that go up?
No?
It stayed the same?
Yes.
Okay.
So the 3 deputy superintendents, the reason for the discrepancy in the amounts is because it's a percentage increase, correct?
Yeah, it's a percentage
Right.
increase of 2 parts. Well, there was a promotion for one of the deputy superintendents, and then there was also the salary increase, the 3% ongoing, and then the 2% off schedule as a percentage.
Okay.
You mentioned the premium increases and that the department is picking up, you said half for the teachers.
Yes,
And then all of it for another group?
that's correct. Yeah, for the classified members and then confidential management and supervisory, yes.
Can you quantify that? What were those?
So that is, I'm sorry, that's part of our bargaining negotiations with them, so that was all bargained. So I don't have, Dave would not have that information with him.
Yeah.
So
But
that's all part of our collective bargaining agreements.
All right, I understand. Other questions?
Yeah, could you go over that? So the teachers got half of the increase paid for?
So I'll remind the group that the teachers had a 2-year settlement that they settled last year for 2 years. And in part of that, they got a little bit higher ongoing amount, the same off schedule, and then 50% of their benefits picked up. But they had bargained that back in the 22-23 school year.
Correct.
And how is that different than the administration agreement?
So this for CSCA, and so management follows CSCA, they got a lower ongoing amount and then a pickup of 100% of the benefits. And part of that reasoning I can explain is that the management and classified team has made significant changes to their benefits plan to lower the cost of the plan, whereas the teachers are on a different plan that is much higher.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from the board? So we need a vote on this?
Just received the report.
We're just receiving that report, okay. we'll proceed to then contracts and grants on OCDE website. Don't go too far.
Sorry. So in previous conversations with the board and Dr. Maharis, one of the questions kept coming up about transparency, about contracts, grants, and entitlements, and wanting to have that information. So we've been working on a prototype to actually post all the information on our website. And so Dave's going to walk you through that prototype. And so you already have the information that goes into your binder for each budget. This would be updated actually on the website. And so he will show you what that looks like. We're pretty excited. It's taken quite a bit of work to get there, but he has that up. And so he will kind of walk you through what that looks like.
Is this live and operational now?
This is, it can be after this meeting. We're testing it, basically. In the last few weeks, we've been testing it. So it's in like a holding spot.
So thank you. Thank you. And again, good evening, President Shaw, members of the board. Tonight, in an effort to continue to improve upon transparency efforts regarding the department's operating budget, staff has made some minor modifications to the department's website, and this is to improve ease of access to the department's financial reports. Additionally, staff's developed this new master listing of all of our entitlements, contracts, any grants that were awarded to the department, and we'd like to preview with that tonight. Moving forward, the listing is going to be updated with each of our major reporting cycles. And so first at budget adoption, then at first interim, and then with the second interim financial reporting cycle. And of course, this information will be posted to the website on a regular basis. Next, we're going to provide just a preview of the new website look and that new master list of all of our entitlements, contracts, and any grants that were awarded to the department. And so if you look up on the screen here, you'll see that we've sorted this reports and publication of our website by fiscal year. And then within the fiscal year, you can see that we've sorted it by the major reporting cycle. And so for the current year, 23-24, if you were to click on that adopted budget, you'd pull up the adopted budget book that contains all of our SACS financial reports and as well as all of our key assumptions on the budget. And that was presented when the budget was presented back in June. If you were to click on that adopted budget presentation, it would show you the presentation staff made to the board back on June 7th with the preliminary budget. So what we want to do is just show you the entitlements, contracts, and grants report that we prepared for you tonight. And so when you click on this link right here, it's going to take you to the new report. And this is what comes up. So it's our listing of all of our entitlements, contracts, and grants. And you're going to notice it's for the current fiscal year. And if you were to go through this report, if we were to scroll through it, you're going to see that we've sorted it first by all of our entitlements listed first here, and then any contracts we receive, and then any grants would come at the end of the report. And the reason why we sorted it that way is because the majority of our funding that we receive outside the local control funding formula comes in the form of entitlements and then the contracts and any grants that were awarded. And so as you look at the report on the far left-hand side of the screen, you can see that we have the title of the respective funding source right here for each of the different fund sources. The next column over is prior year carryover. And so if we had any carryover from the prior year that we brought forward into the current year, it would be listed here. The next column over is any revenue received for that particular funding source for the current year. And then the total just includes any of the prior year carryover plus any of the revenue received for the current year. And then the period covered is just that. It's the period covered for that respective funding source. The source of funds just indicates whether it's state, federal, or local. And then the type of funding indicates whether it's an entitlement, contract, or a grant. So E for entitlement, C for contract, and G for grant. And then the purpose of the funds is on the far right-hand side of the report. And this just indicates how those funds have to be spent. And that's really determined by the awarding agency. And so again, if we were to go through this report, you'd see it's sorted first by entitlement, then contract, then grants. And as we scroll through, one of the things you're going to notice right away is that we have a number of rows throughout the report, and I'll find one here. The first one is the kitchen infrastructure and training funds. So this is a new funding source that came in after the board approved the adopted budget. And so any new funds that came in, what we wanted to do is highlight those and then include all the backup documentation that supports that particular funding source. And so if I were to click on this kitchen infrastructure and training hyperlink, it's going to take us to the supporting documentation that we have on file for that particular funding source. And so this just happens to be the California Department of Education's apportionment letter that they send our fiscal services office. But if we were to go back to this report, any of those items that you see here with that are highlighted in light blue have those hyperlinks. And the goal, of course, is to continue to add to this report as we move forward with the different reporting cycles. And so that's really the report we wanted to share with you. Again, we'll update it at first interim will be the next time we update it, second interim, and then again cycle back through it, budget adoption. So that's the report we wanted to share. If there are any questions of the board.
Thank you. Dr. Williams?
Yeah, so part of the criticism that's been ongoing for a long time is a lot of these grants come into the department and we don't see them, we don't approve them. I like what this is, but there's no indication there that we approve all of these grants. Some of them do not require the board approval, but some of them do. How are you going to differentiate that when someone goes to this link?
It's a great question. And so one of the things I'd say first off is that any of the funding sources that were required to have a board-approved plan would have been brought forward to the board for approval prior to this evening. But one of the things that we've done is, and so for example, one of the funding sources that does require a board-approved plan would have been the ESSER 3 plan. ESSER 3 funding source, that would have required a board-approved plan. Educator effectiveness funding, that also required a plan to be approved by the board. And I think the A through G funding was another one. There were several of them that did require board approval. But what we did on this report, at the bottom, I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom here, and we put a notation so that we can track any of those funding sources that did require a board-approved plan and were approved are marked with a double asterisk down below. And then any plans that are still required that have not yet been brought before the board are marked with a single asterisk. And so that's how we were planning on tracking all those different grants.
So where's that asterisk going to be placed?
So it's right next to, let me scroll up, and I'll find one that's marked. It's in the title column of the report, right next to the funding source itself. So I'm going to go all the way up to the top and just grab the first couple. So you can see there the A through G completion improvement access funding. There's marked with a double asterisk. That was one that plan would have been brought before the board. The next one down is marked with a single asterisk. That's the arts, music, and instructional materials discretionary funding source, and that's a plan that will be brought before the board for approval, and that's one that staff's currently working on. And so that's how we differentiate.
Could you go down to the very
Sure.
bottom again, show
Yes.
me how you're going to list, differentiate all these?
Yeah. So right here at the bottom again, just as the notation for any of those funding sources that did require that board-approved plan, and then those that have already been board-approved.
So just out of curiosity, how many grants total?
There is, if I were to count these up, and I did count them, I think there are 76 entitlements, 30 different contracts, and there is one grant award. So a total of 107 that you see here on the report this evening.
And how many of those 107 were approved by the board?
Yeah, I'd have to go through and count them. Very few, less than a handful that I have marked here. Yes.
Less than 5?
I believe there are less than 5, but those were the ones that would have been required to be
So
approved.
less than 5% of the grants and funds were approved by this board or even seen by the board?
They are listed. All the information that we're talking about this evening is included in the budget book. So it starts with the adopted budget, and then it cycles through with the first interim and second interim. So if you were to pull out the budget book, we do have a spreadsheet very similar to this in the budget book that details this information, but we wanted to go a step further and publish this on the website now in a slightly different format that was a little bit more user-friendly.
Can we, for instance, this one that you have up there now, the underage drinking program, can you actually have a link to that actual grant so people can read it?
And that's the plan with it, this report, is to add those as we go through. What we shared this evening was just those that have been approved since, or new funding that have come in since the budget was adopted back in June. But the plan is to add to this as we move along.
So the plan is all these will be linked to the actual grant or to the, whatever the document is that someone can just highlight and
That's
go
the
right
goal.
to it and they can read it.
That's the goal.
And Dr. Williams, just because it'll take quite a bit of time to get all that documentation on, if somebody from the public wanted that information, they have listed a new website on there, like an email that somebody could send that to and say, could you give me the backup documentation for this grant? And then somebody from the staff would send that to them, as it takes us time to get everything uploaded.
And just to clarify, so you're going to, your aim is to provide links for the ones that are, I know it's going to take time to do all that, but even the ones that are currently on, not just the new ones coming in, but all of those that are listed as well, correct?
That is our goal. We'll start with the new ones, and then as staff permits,
I
they
see.
will start keep adding to them.
Okay, perfect. Good work, thank you.
Whose idea was this?
Dr. Maharis's.
Okay.
We've been talking about
Thanks,
this
Al.
for
Yeah, we've been
We have had a long
requesting this
had
for-
many conversations, so.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's great. Any other questions from the board? Thank you for that report. Excellent. Okay. Parent communication. I think that's our flyer, right? It's been a fun work in progress. So, Trustee Valdez, you have any comments? This has been your brainchild largely, so.
I really like the flyer in its current form, and my only question for tonight is how soon can we get it out to all the kids in Orange County?
I make sure I have the mic on. I'm not sure if I do at this. No.
Now it's off.
As soon as the board approves it, we will get it out by next week to all the districts.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the flyer.
All right.
I'll second.
Yeah, we just a consensus of the board.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to
Okay.
vote, but it's,
And also, I can't remember if we talked about this. Are we also going to add a PDF to our website?
Yeah, we could do a PDF to your website, and then we were also going to send each one of you a PDF
Perfect.
so that you could use it when you need to. And then if you wanted copies made, we can obviously do that on your behalf if you wanted to do that.
Okay, wonderful.
Because I know, like, Trustee Shaw had wanted a stack of the brochures, and so things like that you need that you want to take out to constituents, then we can do that for you.
Renee, we are talking about hundreds of thousands of kids. How long do you think it will take to print all this up?
Well, I think in our last conversations, we were going to send it to the districts to actually, they would do it through whatever their means are. A lot of them use their website or portals or however the district chooses to do that.
Okay, but the plan was to distribute a physical piece of paper for every student in Orange County. How is that going to?
My understanding is that the last request was to send it to the districts to have them disseminate it. And so some will do paper and some will do it through their websites.
So we're asking the districts to print this out?
We can send them the hard copies if that's.
My preference is to do it here and send them out the physical pieces of paper to distribute.
we have a print shop ready to roll here.
How long will it take to print out,
Yes,
you know,
have the capability.
hundreds of
It
thousands?
doesn't take that long.
No?
No. We do that kind of stuff at Chapman all the time. Take a few days.
All right. So we're not voting on this, right? But I don't, as far as content goes on the flyer, I think everyone was happy with it. I gather so. Sometimes less is more, and we're not overwhelming anyone with information.
Yep.
So I think this is great. And I just did the QR code, so it does take you to the Registrar of Voters website as far as looking up your district there on the back, and that's pretty neat. So.
And I'd love to have a pile of hard copies available at each of our meetings
Okay.
For the public. and also for us to take a pile every time that we show up, and we can take a pile so we have easy access as we're going about the county.
To clarify, would you want that for charter schools also, or just traditional school districts?
Well, yeah, I think charter schools could have them on their campuses as well because of, parents that might be touring the charter school. So, yeah, I think everyone should have access to this information.
Yeah. I think that sounds great. And if Renee's referencing, I got a stack of these the department puts out, if you guys haven't seen this. Orange County Education at a Glance 2023. These are really, this is a really fun brochure with lots of fun little facts about, the number of students that we have at the different levels, elementary, high school, et cetera, and the amount of money that's spent. I was speaking to a Rotary Club today and asked them, who wants to venture a guess, how much is spent per student per year on students? And that was kind of a
22.
just over 15,000, right? So that's according to this brochure here. But anyway, fun facts and figures.
So I just did want to clarify a little bit. So do you want us to poll the districts to see if they prefer the paper copy or the
No.
Just
We want you to provide paper copies to all the districts, as well as the electronic copy for them to distribute so that they have multiple options. Because we don't want to delay this any further.
So I know Dave's going to ask me this question. So will this come out of your discretionary funds that you had set aside?
I suppose. What else? What would be the other option? That's it. And how much? What was our funding there? Again.
I think you had $250,000 left because you would use part for the lobbyists. So.
How much?
I don't.
Any ballpark what it would cost to
I
do a
do
print
not
job
know.
like this?
You're talking about 400 and some thousand students. So, well, yeah, about 480,000 students. So it's not going to be a high cost, but.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alrighty, thank you. I think we're done with that. So going on the OCBE website update. So what I thought we should do, or I asked staff about doing, we had our council, Mr. Brenner, a meeting or two back, explain it at a meeting, kind of the history of our general counsel litigation, and I thought that was quite informative, and that issue's been brought up before, so I asked that we take that clip from our meeting and make it available on our board's website, and Nina said that we need to have board consensus on that, on making changes to the website, so.
I'll make a motion to add it to the website. I love the idea.
I'll second that.
Okay. Again, I don't know that we need a vote. I'm just,
Just consensus.
anyone have an objection to that or a problem with that? So,
I consent.
okay.
Ken?
I'm assuming you have a problem, Ken? No, yeah, I didn't think so. Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and you have the date and time, I believe, in my emails. So, all right. Thank you for that. So we'll go to announcements from the superintendent.
All right, we have a few different announcements for you this time. And so one is just remembering that the next board meeting is December 6th, and the deadline submission for that is November 20th, and the board packet will be delivered on December 1st. And so remember, and then the office will be closed on Friday, November 10th for Veterans Day, and November 23rd and 24th for Thanksgiving. And then with that, I think we have Dr. Miramontes has a few updates.
President Shaw, members of the board, just a few things to update the group about. From the Ed Services side of the house, the 49th Annual Orange County Council for the Gifted and Talented Education Conference was held this past Saturday at Cal State Fullerton. Our gate coordinator, Julie Hull, and other educators from around the county put on an incredible half-day event for K-12 educators and administrators, for teachers around the county. Just wanted to thank the OCDE team and the leadership and collaboration that went into putting this thing together. From the ed program side of the house, super excited about the announcement here this week. CBS News Los Angeles has reached out to our educational program staff, specifically the special education division. They wanted to feature one of our career technical education project liaisons, Mary Ann Taylor, who works at Harbor Learning Center South, and specifically wanted to feature her as a person, people making a difference feature. So they came out yesterday and took some film and interviewed her. Mrs. Taylor, who specializes in agriculture and natural resources, works directly with students enrolled in special education and access. They filmed her yesterday, and the air date is still yet to be determined, but usually a few days afterwards. Mary Ann Taylor is an incredible, talented, passionate, and loving person, and so we're so fortunate to have her working with our students. And then lastly, held in partnership with the Orange County Department of Education and the Orange County Probation Department, the Juvenile Justice Commission of Orange County organized the 6th annual Voices for Within essay contest. Our students did an incredible job last Friday sharing their writing samples and art samples, and I'd like to thank our teachers and staff for supporting our students. It was a wonderful showcase. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't leave, sir. I have some questions for you. Part of criticism that we at the board would like to see that we haven't seen is the totality of what the superintendent's doing. We don't get to see that. The public doesn't see that. And part of my criticism in the past is that there's a lack of transparency. So I have just that preamble to make, but I do have some very specific questions. So part of it has to do with with what's happened with the county committee, and that falls under the responsibility of the county superintendent. Part of what I see is that Mr. Mariner, Howard Mariner, who's listed there, is that he is the secretary. But if you look at the state education code, really it's the superintendent who's the secretary. So I believe he's more functioning not as the ex officio member, but more as an administrative secretary. So just a small little item I think should be looked at by yourself or the staff.
Appreciate that, thank you.
Because, again, Education Code 4009 states that the superintendent is the actual secretary. So it's not a big issue. There is also a couple questions regarding the Brown Act violations that are being committed by the county committee. When you look at what is actually on the website, there is a clear lack of transparency by the county committee. You know, for instance, they don't have transcripts. It's not meeting the letter of the law. There's no transcripts. That's why we have transcripts for our meeting. We also meet the letter of the law for the ADA in that we have, for those who are visually impaired, auditory impaired, we have transcripts, we have video, we have a lot of ways to help that. So we're exposing the department to litigation because the county committee is not doing and following the example that we're doing here. So just a couple comments that would be helpful.
Appreciate that.
I think since it's your responsibility, because you're now kind of the acting chief here, you should be aware of those things. Another question here. In a email that is dated August 15th, sent to Mr. David Johnson, did you actually meet with Mr. Johnson that day? Okay. And how did he get to you?
That day.
How did he get to, oh, you didn't meet him this day?
Not that day, no. That was just an email congratulating him. Is that what you're looking at?
No, there's an email dated August 15th in which he said, it's a pleasure to meet you today, and I would appreciate that you can fill out the attached form and return it by me tomorrow. How did Mr. Johnson get to your office? How did he contact you?
Well, Dr. Mahar sent out an email late July to all the superintendents informing them that the county committee vacancy wasn't filled by the county committee within 70 days. And so it was his responsibility now as superintendent to fill that vacancy, appoint somebody.
So he sent out an email.
Yep.
Who did he send that out to?
To the superintendents.
All of the superintendents?
Not all the superintendents within the first supervisorial district. So I believe it was Santa Ana, Garden Grove, Fountain Valley, Westminster, and Huntington Beach Union High School District.
And what happens after it goes out to the superintendent?
It was just informing them of the process, that what the county committee does, what the process was. They failed to, they didn't fail, but they did not fill the vacancy, so now the responsibility lies on him. And so that went out at the end of July, I believe. And then August 1st, Dr. Maharis goes on leave. And so it was my responsibility.
Got it. Okay. So then you met with Mr. Johnson here.
I met with a couple of candidates, yeah.
You did meet with a couple
A couple
candidates.
candidates, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. And they were nominated by the superintendents?
No, the superintendents, the letter that went out to Dr. Maharis was former board members, community leaders in your districts that could serve on the county committee. PTA members, I can't remember the exact, but just leaders within your community that would want to serve on the county committee.
Okay, so the letter from Dr. Maharis in July went to community leaders.
No, went to the 6 superintendents, or five superintendents.
5
And
superintendents.
the superintendents were to ask around, seek anybody who was interested in becoming part of the county committee.
I see. And you don't know what those specific conversations were with after that letter went out to the superintendents? No. You just got, it sounds like 3 people that were interested?
Well, I called each superintendent afterwards and just asked if they received the letter, and that I want to make sure that we fill this as soon as possible. It was one of the responsibilities that I had come upon with Dr. Maharis going on leave. I wanted to make sure that we had the right people. If they had any nominations, they had any questions, in the letter it also stated that they could ask Dr. Permanis for any questions that they should have.
Okay. So this letter went out from Dr. Maharis and went to the 5 superintendents, and from that you had 3 people that indicated an interest?
Correct.
Okay, and
three that superintendents mentioned that they had. Yeah.
Okay, did those 3 come to you for an interview?
2 did. One said, if you got people, I don't need to be there. So one actually backed out.
Okay. So really then effectively by default, there's only one person that you interviewed?
No, there was 3 people. One stepped back. I interviewed 2 candidates.
Oh, you interviewed 2. Okay. And then you selected Mr. Johnson?
I selected Mr. Johnson, correct.
And was there a reason why?
Yeah, both were very qualified, very committed. I don't have my notes in front of me, but he seemed to have the most interest in the county committee and the responsibility.
Why do you think he had interest in it?
He's passionate about education. His wife's a public school teacher. He's vested in the community. He knows the community well. Westminster Elementary, but also the high school district. He had students that had gone through, actually not Westminster Elementary, but he also had students that had gone to Dr. Monthy's district, Garden Grove. Spoke very highly of her. Was involved in other community aspects within the area.
And did you know that he was running against one of the trustees?
Not at that time, I didn't. I just found out about 3 weeks ago, maybe.
Did you ask?
Did not ask either of them if they were running.
Did they mention that they might be?
Never mentioned that at all.
Okay. And that was the 15th that you interviewed him?
Correct.
It looks like that. Okay. And then later on, he declared his candidacy.
I assume I had found out by Nana Boyd that he was interested. I don't know if he had filed paperwork, but he was interested in running for the Orange County Department of Ed.
Okay.
Or school board, I should say.
So generally, the process, help me understand it. So there's actually there's Mr. Rita and there's Ms. Brooks, who are 2 new ones that are going to be officially at the meeting tomorrow for the first time. Is that true?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Don't have that knowledge, no.
Are you going to be at that meeting?
No.
So, and of course, Paulette Chafee's been on there for some time. You don't know how she got on there.
I don't know who Paula Chafee is.
Yeah. It just looks a little murky. You have 2 people on the county committee who have been candidates. Mr. Rita, he's not elected, I believe.
I don't know who Mr. Rita is.
Okay. Do you have to be elected to be on the county committee?
No.
Okay. So anyone can be on the county committee?
I don't know the process of how they actually get on the county committee. I think it's through the Orange County School Boards Association at their annual thing, I believe. Yeah, I wouldn't know what.
I don't hold you to know that because I know
No,
you're new.
I just know that what the role is.
I've been on this board for 28 years and
Yeah.
I still don't even know.
Well, Jeff Bell's on the committee, you might know, right? Isn't he the legal person on it?
Yeah, you know, a couple thoughts about this. I'd like to see if there's any interest in talking about this more so we can get actually somebody who knows more about the process. Mr. Mariner, Howard Mariner, couldn't make it this evening. Would it be of interest to put this on at subsequent, maybe next month?
Like an information item?
Yeah, the information, have a full discussion of this.
I'm certainly interested for the benefit of the public who may not be aware. This county committee is in charge of deciding voting districts, and it's very concerning to me that, you know, for example, when I was appointed, it was a very public meeting. There were public announcements. People had the opportunity, you know, to show up at this meeting, and I'm finding out that people are being chosen for this committee via essentially a private email to 5 people. You know, wink, wink, we're going to find, you know, whoever we like. Why is this not a more public announcement? Why is the public completely, what sounds like, shut out of this whole process? And it's an important committee, you know, that has a lot of decision-making power for how we vote in Orange County. I don't want to use the word cabal, but so I won't. But I'm just, you know, I'm just wondering how this process is happening.
Yeah, especially because the process also got very political 2 years ago, and it ended up in litigation. Of course, we had some comments publicly today that were half-truths by certain people who are politically motivated, and the reason why that needs to be said, we did drop our lawsuit, was because of the ethical obligation, because of a law, AB 764, we were required to drop that.
Yeah.
So not about the merits, because there are great merits for it, because the county committee did violate a law. It's very political, and they have Voting Rights Act violations against the Vietnamese community. So this got very political, and that gets to my question. You have 2 people on the committee that ran against Tim Shaw. And it looks too political.
2 people that ran on the committee that ran against Tim Shaw.
Yeah, one is currently declared, and Paula Chafee, who had run 2 times against
Oh, it
Mr.
wasn't
Shaw.
Paula Chafee. The second interview wasn't Paula
that.
Chafee.
I know that.
The person that I interviewed was not Paula Chafee.
My point being was the political nature
Oh, yeah.
of this committee.
There was 70 days to fill this vacancy, and it wasn't filled by the county committee, and the role then falls on the county superintendent.
And why wasn't it filled by the county committee?
I'm not on the county committee. I couldn't tell you.
Maybe
You know,
because they don't need enough.
You know, I can't blame Dr. Miramontes for what the county committee did.
I appreciate
do.
that. Thank you.
I won't do that, but I'm just, you know, it's concerning that it was just, it sounds like 5 people get an email, who, you know, who's interested. I mean, the public should be notified of something that important, in my view. That should be a very public announcement with people having the opportunity to show up, present themselves to you, and none of that happened.
Okay. So perhaps at a future meeting, we could just, I think you'd asked Dr. Williams to have an information item put on the agenda related to just the county committee selection process.
Yeah, just a discussion. We have Mr. Marinera come. I don't know if that could be arranged, Renee.
We would have somebody from that office who has
Sure.
detail for that, yes.
All right. Thank you for that. Were there any more announcements?
I do. I just wanted to ask the board that I've been having some conversations with somebody from Mr. Rowland's office regarding an ITO grant. And so since the board hasn't discussed that and they're asking a lot of information regarding the program that's run by the superintendent, part of which would require a match from the county superintendent program, I would like that discussion to be at the board meeting so I have a better understanding of what that is. So I was wondering if I could put that on the agenda for the next meeting.
I'm sorry, I didn't totally follow that.
Okay.
Sorry.
So, yes, thank you.
Son of a. Shocked me.
You're the lawyer in the room.
You're in trouble tonight.
What was I going to say? We've had some meetings with the executive committee and our federal lobbyist, and we are focusing in on trying to find some money for the Inside the Outdoor program. The discussion. So the discussions evolved to whether we should even go through the process, or whether we should, how far the process should go before there's board discussion about seeking the money. And that was raised by Renee and I think others in the group. So I haven't had a chance to discuss this with the board or the executive committee, but the idea is we're simply identifying funding sources that we think are possible. So if you want to give us authorization to seek the funding sources, that's one thing. We were going to draft an authorization letter and have the board sign saying we're authorized to look. Once we get to the different processes whereby we're identified or we're given the money and there's a federal match, which she's absolutely right about, we cross that bridge when we come to it. But right now, we're just looking and applying.
So I think I was part of this, so I know what we're talking about now. So we were having our call with our federal lobbyist, and he was talking about federal grants that were being made available, and he started explaining this one about environmental education. I said, oh, perfect. Why don't maybe we could look at that for helping to pay for our Inside the Outdoors program. And I just said, let's talk with the staff about how that maybe we should apply for this. So I just threw that out there, and it seemed like a win for Orange County for us as a team here to help get the federal government to pay for what's going on there. But
and I agree, except for the grant is to be applied for by the office that runs the program. The board wants to do that. So I think that's the concern.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't care if it's. I mean, that's a detail that we just need to work out. But if you want, we should put that on the agenda. And
that way we can just have all a full discussion, understand what they're asking for.
All right. Got it.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Legislative updates. Anyone have a legislative update? Legislature's not in session, so probably not a lot to report on there. Any committee reports?
It was a terrible year for parents, let's just put it that way. The legislator, or what we saw that came out of that session was far to the left, I'll put on the record, removing parental rights, removing the rights of parents to direct the upbringing of their children. It was a terrible legislative session, and it hurt families, it hurt public school, it hurt public education. That would be my only comment.
One day, Ken, you're going to tell us what you really think. So appreciate you as always. Any other comments there?
And I'm sorry, Trustee Shaw, I overlooked another report.
Oh, please.
My first or second mistake, I'm not sure I made for this evening. Dave Giordano has the Esplanade report that's in your package, and so you can go through that real quick for you. I apologize, Dave.
Oh, thank you.
So we don't have to go into the special Esplanade?
No, that's just for the annual budget. This is just your quarterly update.
This is just an update.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, and good evening again. Just want to give you a really brief update on the first quarter report for the Esplanade property. And this report covers the months of July through September of the current fiscal year, 23-24. The good news is that the occupancy rate for the property still remains high at 92%. And that's as of the end of the first quarter period, September 30th of 2023. And both the operating revenues and expenditures were budgeted conservatively and are both trending better than projected. Also, we're currently investigating some potential lighting and security improvements, and that was due to some recent mail thefts in the area. And of course, any improvements will be covered under the Esplanade budget. And then that concludes our 23-24 first quarter report for the Esplanade property, if there are any questions.
Thank you.
I do.
Thank you.
Dr. Williams has a question.
So the occupancy rate is 92%?
92%.
Okay, and how much of that occupancy is the actual department? Offices, staff, personnel?
Don't know offhand, but I can get that.
So we only occupy one building out of the 6, and we're not fully occupying that building.
Okay, and of the remaining 5 buildings that are unoccupied, how much is the average square foot for each building?
It really depends whether it's an upstairs office area or whether, because most of the upstairs office is small suites. And then the downstairs are more what they call industrial, so you have roll-up doors in the back. And so it just depends on what building and all of that. They're different configurations. We have them as small as 200 square feet up to about 1,500 square feet.
And how much or how many, what's the percentage of the contracts, the leases that we have are up in 1 year versus 2 years versus 5 years? What's kind of a picture of that?
Usually when we're renewing them right now, we're going 3 to 5 years. We have some that are month to month. And so as the economy worsens, they tend to want shorter leases. And so right now, because office space is becoming more plentiful, we're actually, people say, well, I'll sign the lease for 3 or 5 years, but I want you to cap how much my increase is each year. And so that's what our property manager works through.
And what is the average per square foot that we're charging?
Again, it depends on the space. And so the industrial spaces could be about $1 a square foot. The office space could go up to $1.50 per square foot. The industrial space also has common area fees they have to pay also.
Do we have clauses in our contracts that allow us to terminate those leases early?
For cause.
For cause.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? See none, thank you for that. So going back to board member comments, I think Trustee Williams made his comments there already. I do see my calendar next Monday is the Teacher of the Year event. So what time are we supposed to be where? You going to send us more details?
She'll send you the details.
Is everyone going?
I'm going.
Are you going, Ken?
You are, Tim's the only one who,
No, I
Because I respond to my emails, Renee. Let them know.
RSVP'd also. Unless I never hit
do
send.
not
I think
believe you did. We've sent 2 reminders.
I will. I could have sworn I sent it. I'll look for the email because I
Do you guys? Are you able
We
to
actually
go?
do not have, yeah. That's why we sent the last reminder because they are completely full. But if Mary, if you found that you did RSVP, we can try and see. But
I'm pretty sure I did.
Okay.
But I will look in my outbox and see if for some reason, sometimes I'm sending emails and somebody calls and then I forget. But I kind of remember talking to Tim that I was going as well. So I'll look for it.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Let's see other board member comments. George, you got anything?
Can we put the flyer back on the agenda for next month, just as a follow-up to see that all the paperwork has been distributed to all the districts? That's basically going to be my only question.
Thank you. Lisa?
Can't think of anything.
Okay. Ken? All done? Mary?
Nope, just looking for my email.
Okay. And so before I forget, is Mr. Brenner here? Morg calling Orson. Oh, there he is.
We are reporting out from closed session, is that right?
Yes.
Mr. Brenner will be reporting out from closed session.
Good evening, members of the board. Good to be with you all. This is the report out for the closed session for tonight's meeting. At the closed session, the board received an update from council on the 3 items. The board gave direction to council in connection with one of those items and took no action other than to approve invoices. The invoices that were approved for Epstein, Becker, and Green are 1130729 through 1130732 and 1137222.
Sorry, could you repeat
Yes,
that?
certainly. I was watching it. 1137222 through 1137224. Those invoices were all approved with a vote of 5 in favor, none opposed. And there were some additional review and approval of invoices as well that Mr. Rowland will report on now, and that'll conclude the closed session update and report out once Mr. Rowland does that. Thank you.
This is the fun part of your promotion. The board by a 5-0 vote approved the invoices of Nielsen Merksimer. Invoice numbers 260487, 261603, 261603 again. Same amount. Nix that. Invoice number 262703. And invoice number 263945.
The invoice you listed twice was just a mistake,
It
right?
was a mistake.
Okay, I think that was it on that. So, no more public comments?
I'm sorry, Mr. Rowland, can you make sure we get copies of those invoices also? We don't have them. Okay, thank you.
Very good. So we will stand adjourned until Wednesday, December 6th, 2023 at 5 p.m. here in this room. We'll see you then.